Alright people, Mike Alden here again. Welcome back to another Elden Ring video. Uh, I'm now in Liurnia of the Lakes, or I just call this area Rea Lucaria. Even though I know that's just the name of the school, I just started calling this entire region Rea Lucaria. For some reason it's easier for me to say than Lunaria, or whatever it is actually called. Of course, when you first get out here from Stormveil, this was one of the most iconic moments in the game. When you're on this cliff overlooking the school, it's probably the most beautiful part of the game, really. This whole lake region. Although Plateau, it's all autumnal coloured with all the yellow leaves and stuff. I think a lot of people like how it looks too, but I think this whole lake region is really the most beautiful for me anyway. I'm still just trying to level up, remember how to play the game, defeat some bosses, and really train myself to get back into the swing of things before the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC comes out. Um, Again, we've got like exactly about a month to wait. And since my last video on this, there's been another trailer released, big CGI trailer. Got a lot of people hyped, and a lot of people are returning to the game now. So I thought I might as well return at this same time and just see how far I can get. I think I'll be able to make it to Mogwin's Palace, where the DLC starts. I need to beat Radahn as well. I think that was part of the requirements to get into the DLC. I'm not sure. I know why Mogwin's Palace is definitely gonna be part of it, is because that's where Mikla, his big egg that he's in or whatever, that's where it's being kept. So it would stand to reason that that's the entrance to the DLC. But I can't quite remember why Radahn needs to be defeated. Is it because the entrance to Mogwin's Palace only opens if you've defeated Radahn? I can't remember exactly, but yeah, those two, everybody says they have to be beaten to get into the DLC. So I'm hoping to at least get back to that part of the game. I don't know if I will use this character, or I'll just go back to my original character, who's really, really overpowered, because I am a bit scared of the DLC, wondering how like tough the bosses will be and everything. And I kind of just want to beat the DLC and not spoil myself, because everybody else will be posting all the bosses and everything. And I'd like to get through it pretty painlessly and just enjoy the experience of seeing all the new bosses and NPCs and everything. And I don't know if having a slightly underpowered character would frustrate me or not, because I'm not a really great player at these games. I usually do just like to get overpowered and rely on like cheese methods for things, because that's just fun to me. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I am quite liking this character, even though they're really similar to my very first character. Only this one, they've put a bit more into faith and using magic and incantations. Of course, we found Patches out here. He's moved to this area now that we've defeated Godric in Stormveil Castle. He's basically here to keep selling his stuff, and he mentions that we can go to the Volcano Manor if we get trapped by a certain trap in Rea Lucaria. And he also tells you about Rhea, I believe her name is, the little serpent NPC that everybody really likes. The lizard girl, or whatever you would call her. She's standing around near Patches. I didn't leave in footage of me talking to her, but I did her little quest line, or started it off anyway, where you get her necklace back from your guy who loves cooking prawns, the Black Heart or Black Hand or whatever his name is. Bogart, was it his first name? But yeah, I didn't leave in all that footage because it was just like a lot of talking between those NPCs. And meanwhile, I decided I would go into this cave, which leads to the lady who has the half of a talisman that you need to find Mikla's Erdtree, or Liurnia's Erdtree, or whatever it's called. Once you go through this cave and defeat that little boss there, we should come out now at the other end, and we'll find this lady who can become an ash summon after you speak to her. She's over here next to the site of grace. Because I just wanted to start this off. I don't know if I'll be beating Liurnia in these videos, or if I'll just try to get to Mogwin's Palace or whatever. But I thought since I was in this area now that I should do everything, or mostly everything that's around here to do. When you first get here, I think she rejects you if you haven't gone to the village, the Albanak village, and spoken to the guy who's hiding in a barrel there. I'd actually forgotten that, so she kind of rejects me here, and then I remembered that I have to go to the Albanak village and do that little quest line over there first. But before heading over there, I wanted to come up to these 3 towers where these gates, these portals are. I think it's called the Belfry Gates, is it? Or something like that. This area, you need a stone sword key or whatever, and then you can use like these 3 portals to transport you to different places. And I really wanted to get the Stormhawk ashes, because it's a really powerful ash summon, at least for the first sort of half of the game. So yeah, you need this stone sword key or whatever. You only get like quite a limited supply of those, so you have to be careful which one to choose. But I'm pretty sure this one, I remembered that this was the one that leads you back to the Chapel of Anticipation. And that little message said something about anticipation as well. So you can put the swordstone key in there, and it'll unlock this portal, and then you can go back to the very first area from the very start of the game, where our Tarnished woke up or whatever, and we can get revenge on that grafted Scion or whatever you call it, who just completely demolished me. More skilled players at the game can actually defeat this very first tutorial boss, even though they're pretty underpowered or whatever. But yeah, I just got taken out by it because I'm not really great at the game. But now we're back and we're powered up, and I can do some pretty decent damage. But he's not a walk in the park. He can get in his hits pretty easily on you. And you do have to kind of watch what you're doing still, even if you are leveled up with decent armor and a good sword or whatever. Because he can just spam those really rapid attacks. And it can get your health down quickly, as you can see there. But yeah, he wasn't too much trouble. With my powered up R2 attacks, I just kind of overwhelmed him. And yeah, you get his sword and his shield. And I'm not sure if his drops change if you defeat him at the very start of the game or not. If it's the same weapons you get off him or anything. I think it changes, but I can't quite remember. Maybe it is just the same and you just get like a decent weapon really early on for beating him. But anyway, you have to come up around this way and get these different ashes. This is for a quest line for Nefelilu, or whatever her name is. One of the NPCs I summoned to help me fight Godric. That's part of her quest line. But what I was really after was these ash summons over here for the Stormhawk Deneth, or Denarith, or whatever his name is. Yeah, he's pretty decent, so I'm going to level him up a little. And he's going to be my ash summon that I mainly use until I can get the Mimic tier. The wolves are still pretty decent for a while. But yeah, I really wanted the Stormhawk because he's just pretty badass. And the way he flies around in battle, the enemies find it quite hard to hit him quite often. And he can really survive a lot longer than the wolves, because the wolves just run in and they get tagged by like big area of effect attacks, and they get wiped out pretty easily. I also did some more Evergeels. This was another one. I think I was looking for Black Knife Teach, or Tish, or however you pronounce her name. Her Evergeel, I knew it was in this sort of lake region, but I forgot you have to be pretty far in Rani's quest line to get up to the area where that Evergeel is sort of stored or whatever. So I was running around these different Evergeels and fighting all these bosses, looking for the Black Knife Teach one. And then I didn't remember until later that, yeah, you have to be doing Rani's quest line to get up to that area. But these bosses are helpful because you can't really summon in all of them. Like this one, I couldn't summon my Stormhawk or the wolves. Maybe I'd missed the summoning pole thing statue. Although I don't think that affects the Ash summons. I've never been quite clear on that. I need to read up about it sometime. If those little statues affect your ability to use Ash summons. But yeah, I got a spell or something off that guy, and it was just quite a good fight. He was a bit more powerful than I'm used to fighting at this part of the game, so I was quite evenly matched with him. I then finally went back to the Almanac village. I got the little half disc off one of the NPCs back there, and then of course there's a boss down here, one of these Omen guys, I think they're called. Yeah, Death Omen or whatever his name is, or Omen Killer actually, is that his name? But yeah, he's not really that much of a threat when I'm so overpowered at this point. And I've got my Stormhawk out here now. He's helping me out. Although this guy can do some serious damage, as you saw there. If you do just take 2 or 3 good hits, you are going down pretty much. But also I do a lot of damage myself, so it's pretty balanced actually. But yeah, the main reason we were here was to get that half of the medallion so I can come back to speak to the wolf lady, and she'll disappear now and become an Ash summon. And yeah, she's telling us we can get to Miquella's healing tree if we find the other half of the medallion, but that's not until we get to the big snowy area. There's a fortress up there in the snow region. There's a commander boss, Commander Nile, I think his name is. You have to defeat him to get the second half of the medallion. But now that I had this part of the medallion, I remembered that I should travel back to Round Table Hold, because a little event happens where one of the NPCs in here invades us because they want that part of the medallion or whatever. So you come back to the Round Table Hold. It's all dark in here, and then Ensha just ambushes you. First time this happened, this was creepy as hell. I had no idea what was going on, why this was happening, or anything like that, and he really took me by surprise. But this time I was ready for him, so I just whipped out a flaming sword and just completely demolished him, to be honest. But yeah, it was creepy when you first get to the dark Round Table Hold. So I got that event out of the way, and then I remembered to get into Red Lucaria. I need a key from one of these glintstone sorcerers or whatever. And there's one near this dragon that's quite easy to get. You can just run in and collect it from over here. And then you could run away from the dragon if you wanted to, but I decided since I was here, might as well defeat this glintstone dragon. And I've got my Stormhawk with me, so it shouldn't be too bad. And again, my usual tactics: stay at their back legs, move from side to side. And if they try to get too far away from you, you need to get back close to them before they start doing their flaming breath. Because they'll take you out if you're too far away from them. But yeah, back legs, and then when you get an opportunity, you can come up around the head for a critical attack if you stun lock them or stagger them, or whatever it's called. when you do enough damage that you get the opportunity for a critical attack. And yeah, my Stormhawk, the way they're flying around, the dragon's missing a lot of attacks on it that would normally hit on some of the other Ash summons that are on the ground the whole time. And the dragon always likes to turn and try to go for the Hawk. It really is quite helpful because while the dragon's distracted, he's not looking at me and I can get in my hits. And then we got another critical attack on him, and I think that one just wiped out the dragon. The dragon fights always do feel quite dangerous. Even later on in the game, they can quickly wipe you out if you just get hit by some burst of fire at the wrong time or whatever. But if you know what you're doing, you can sort of take them out quite easily if you stay at their back legs. And if you're using an Ash summon, that always helps. So this cave is a cave underneath the Rey Lucaria skull. I don't know why I decided to come in here. I thought it was maybe a shortcut into the skull. I didn't really need a shortcut because I just got the magic key or whatever that'll let me through the barrier. But yeah, this boss was in here. I had to equip like a really trash sort of bat and just wheel on these guys because blunt items, they're really weak to them. So it didn't really matter how underpowered this bat was or club or whatever it is, because it just completely destroys these crystal knights. They're weak to blunt attacks. So you need a hammer or a club or something if you want to fight them. Because if you just use a slashing weapon, like a sword or whatever, it does like no damage to them. And it's just kind of a waste of time really. You need one of these blunt items and you can just really wheel on them with these clubs and stuff. It is quite funny that these guys become so easy once you figure out there's this blunt weakness that they have, and you can just completely shatter them so quickly. Because I remember when the game first came out, some people were like really stuck on those guys, and they were like, these are the hardest enemies in the game. And then people who like realized that if you had a club or whatever, that it just made them so simple. It was really funny to see people panicking about this enemy that they couldn't seem to damage that much. Also, when I was in this area, I decided to farm these knights so I could get the Mausoleum Knight armor. I have some old Mausoleum Knight armor, but this is the set that have the wings on the back. They're really cool looking wings, so I equipped that. And this is probably the armor I'm going to use all the way up until I get Lionel's armor, or Lionel's armor, in the like Lindell capital or whatever. So yeah, I finally made it to Rey Lucaria, the skull, properly. Ran through here, defeated a lot of the Glintstone sorcerers, and there's a big living jar guy in here. For some reason I thought this was Alexander when I first walked into the room. Tried to talk to him and ended up just getting hit in the face, and I was like, what the hell's going on? Then I remembered that, oh yeah, Alexander isn't the only living jar in the game, but he is the only like friendly one, at least big giant one. I think you can find a village full of little jars that will talk to you, and they aren't hostile, but I can't remember what area that's actually in. I think it's actually back in Limgrave, and I maybe walked past it or something. Or it might be in the Atlas Plateau, actually. Oh well, I'll try to find that again later. But anyway, when I'm in Rey Lucaria, the big Hogwarts sort of wizard skull, I quite like the design of the skull, but a lot of these enemies just annoy me with their ranged attacks. Got pretty good at dodging that guy actually, so that was fun. But they can really take down your health when they spam you with magic. Do it really quickly, and if you just get caught off guard by one of them, it can be so annoying. I actually get why people who do PvP or whatever in these games, they really dislike magic users, because they just stay far away from you and just spam you with spells or whatever. So I found this little hidden area, of course, and I got a Graveland Witch Seal, or whatever it's called. That's kind of related to Selen's questline, because she's the Grave Witch or Gravestone Witch or whatever. That sort of makes you not trust her too much because the other sorcerers you speak to, they sort of explain to you that being a Graven School Witch or whatever means you're a traitor to the school, and you do try to use blasphemous magic or whatever. I did meet Selene back in Limgrave. I don't think it was in my last video because it wasn't really a big important part of my playthrough. I'm not really gonna follow her questline too much, but yeah, I just wanted to pick up that talisman in case I wanted to do some more magic later or whatever. So next boss on the way to Renala, it's this Red Wolf of Radagon. Of course, my Stormhawk's gonna help me out again here. These are actually just a common enemy later in the game. When you go to some of the areas underground, the Sophia River Well or whatever, and all the underground areas, when you go down that big elevator, you just find these red wolves of Radagon. They're just hanging around down there. I'm actually quite interested what the lore is behind these guys, why you find them in certain areas. I know why this one's here, because Renala or whatever, and Radagon, they were together, and he sort of left this one here as like a protector or guardian or whatever. But I wonder why these other red wolves of Radagon, why they show up in the areas that they show up in. There's probably some easy lore answer that I've missed or forgotten. But yeah, I'm actually probably going to look that up again later, because it just came into my mind that you do find those guys as standard enemies. He's not a really too tough of a boss, but it's just a nice little callback to Sif, almost, from Dark Souls, when you fight that wolf enemy, the giant wolf enemy in the first Dark Souls. So yeah, this is the way up to Renala now. And I'm just trying to not get taken out by this big giant boulder that comes down these sets of stairs. You just have to be ready to dodge at the right time. I think I get clipped by it right as I'm about to get past up here. Yeah, I just got clipped by it. But oh well, it didn't do too much damage, and now I'm inside here, so yeah, you just have to be careful when you go up that hill. So next is this little sort of like mini boss, I guess you could call this guy. He's a Carian Knight who has his own little red health bar. And this is kind of like an example of a PvP battle. This guy actually knows how to parry, and he quite easily struck me with that. But I set my sword on fire, started doing some R2 attacks, started making short work of his health. But yeah, he's not a pushover. He really got my health down pretty easily there. And he can heal himself at least once, so you have to be ready for that. But otherwise, I'm pretty overpowered for him. And as long as I get out of the way of his sword attack there, he's not going to be too much trouble. Some people get quite stuck on him when they first get to this area if they're a bit under-leveled. They're not used with fighting like a sword and shield enemy who behaves like another player, really. And when he parries you, it can be like, what the hell's going on? But yeah, he's a good introduction to how PvP sort of feels, that little NPC mini-boss guy out there. So next, this is Renala. I think I keep pronouncing her name wrong. But this is Rani's mother or whatever. Must say, I quite like how my character looks with the Mausoleum Knight armor and in the helm of, I think it's one of Godric's knights, but I'm not quite sure. But it just looks really badass in my opinion. This winged Mausoleum Knight armor. But yeah, basically Renala's in here with her little egg thing that lets her do her rebirth stuff. She's obviously not herself. She's like heartbroken from Radagon leaving her here. And it kind of broke her in many ways. She's not as powerful as she used to be, or whatever. And this first stage, I think we're actually fighting her for real. Basically, you just have to take out her, what she calls her sweetings. I don't know if these people are actually here, if they're just an illusion or something like that. I think they're just an illusion that Renala's conjured, because they all disappear once this fight's over, and there's none of them like hanging around anywhere. But yeah, you take them out, then she'll crash to the ground, and then we actually, it's kind of sad actually, because she's not really fighting back that much, and we're just sort of wheeling on her. And then she'll go back into her golden orb, and then you have to take out these glowing enemies again. The first time I got here, it took me a little minute to figure out what I was doing, mainly because of the enemy that I was supposed to be attacking with this gold glow around them. They were hiding behind like a bookshelf somewhere over here. I think one of them's doing it again now. Obviously, I know what I'm doing now compared to when I first got here back in the day. But yeah, if one of them spawns behind a bookshelf, it can take you a little minute to figure out where they are. So let's see, I think I started realizing there must be one hiding back here somewhere. Or behind something. So I started taking a little look around those areas. And then I eventually saw they were hiding back here. Little cheeky sweeting hiding over there. And then I think it was that enough to make Renala crash. No, there was another enemy over here. It's not really that hard of a boss, this first half. It's a bit of just a little like, gimmicky sort of boss fight. I do enjoy it though, because it's kind of unique. But yeah, that's the first half of Renala. And now Rani, or at least a spell of Rani's, kicks in. I've never been quite certain if Rani is actually speaking to us after this. She's given her little speech about her mother and calling us a trespasser and everything. But I think it's actually just an alarm spell or something like that, a defensive measure that Rani's left here. And it's not actually her speaking. Because when you meet her later at her tower, her little witch's tower or whatever, she doesn't bring up, like, hey, what were you doing fighting my mother back at Re Lucaria? What, you asshole, or whatever. So maybe she doesn't know that her magic spell was tripped. And that's why I think it's not really her speaking to us now. This is just an enchantment or something that she left here to sort of ward off anyone who shows up. And I thought it actually would have been cool if Rani, like a big giant version of Rani, fought us here instead of this like illusion version of Renala or whatever. And Rani was here with her 4 arms and a big sort of giant illusion version with like 4 great swords or something fighting us. I just thought that would have been like a cool visual or something like that. But I guess it's Rani trying to show that her mother used to be really powerful, and that this is the way she wants to remember her, and that she's gonna give us a taste of what it would be really like to fight Renala if she was actually in her right mind anymore or whatever. Again, she's not too bad for me because I've got my Stormhawk here, and they kind of knock her off balance when she's trying to do cast some of her spells or whatever. And my great sword is powerful enough that it does quite a bit of damage to her. I actually had no health, no Estus flask left, but it didn't really matter because I could do quite a bit of damage to Renala. And my Stormhawk, again, they were knocking her off balance whenever she was trying to get off some spells or whatever. So it wasn't that difficult to defeat her, really. And then we get our second rune. And now if we wanted to, we could go straight to the Atlas Plateau and get on the elevator because I got the two halves of the disc that operates that elevator earlier, and we can just head up there if we wanted to. And you can also use Renala if you have any larval tears or whatever. You can speak to her and she can respec your character now. That's really her big purpose, really, is respecking, and you can change your character's appearance and stuff too. But next I went to find another minor Erdtree, fight one of these tree avatars, or whatever you call them, Erdtree avatars. Get some more tears for my mixed physic or wonders physic flask or whatever. Again, these guys aren't really a pushover. I can do a fair bit of damage to them because I'm leveled up quite a bit right now. But if they put you down off your horse, it only takes like 1 or 2 hits to really crush you. And their big laser attack, their golden ray of light lasers that just auto target you or whatever, they can really overwhelm you if you're not on torrent and you can't really get out of the way of them. And the Stormhawk, even though he can fly, he can get hit by these lasers really easily, and he got taken out, so I had to do the rest of this by myself, really. And yeah, you just kind of have to be careful. So if torrent goes down, it can become a trickier fight. Maybe I finished this guy off without torrent. Yeah, I think I didn't want to use another Estus Flask reviving torrent again. Oh yes, I got him back now because I wanted to avoid the lasers, because there's a good chance that would have wiped me out if I just got hit by quite a few of those. But yeah, that's now the Erdtree avatars down. I think what you should really do when you come to a new area in Elden Ring is just see where all the minor Erdtrees are, leave a marker next to them, and sort of try to clear all those out before moving on to the next area, because you never know what larval or what teardrop or whatever for your wonders physics they're going to drop, and how useful it could be. I thought this was quite funny, this random knight who's just standing over here enjoying the view. I don't think I ever ran into him before, so it was kind of a unique little encounter. And I actually thought he was an NPC at first that I'd never seen before. But yeah, no, it was just another knight who was just standing out here looking off into the distance or whatever, so I thought that was a funny little moment. I was really on my way to see Ranni now at this point. But on the way there, you pass through some ruins, and there's a little boss in here who I think poisons you. Has a big like cloud of poison gas they spray out or whatever. They can be quite annoying. But yeah, I thought I would fight them just before we go see Ranni. And I think the next video, it's going to be me following Ranni's questline and maybe doing Caelid, because I should be like level 60 something by the time we go to Radahn this time. And I think I'll just follow Ranni's questline for a little while before moving on to the Atlas Plateau or whatever. So what we're gonna do is probably go up, talk to Ranni, and we'll end it there today. And then the next time I'll go talk to Blade and everybody, and we'll go underground, because I think we have to go to the Sophia River Well or whatever it's called. And we have to help Blade recover something from the lost city that's down there. So that should be pretty interesting. I think I'm high enough level to start doing that stuff, like level 60 or whatever. So we'll do all that stuff, and then we'll move on to Atlas Plateau, because I think that's where Ranni's questline mainly gets wrapped up. Is after you do the Radahn stuff, and then a big meteor crashes to Earth or whatever, and then you go into that underground area again, and then you help Ranni slay the two fingers or whatever, and then I think you can move on to the Atlas Plateau. but it's been a while and I might be confusing some stuff, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think that's what the next video is gonna be about, if I do get time to make another video. Because Elden Ring is really quite long, and when you're just exploring a lot and not really mainlining all the bosses and just sort of messing around a lot like I'm doing random stuff, it can take you quite a while to get through the game. Like Miyazaki originally, he said the game was going to be 30 hours long. And I think if on a first playthrough that you just go from main boss to main boss, and maybe only a little bit of side stuff in that time, maybe 30 hours would be doing it. But I think most people, they spent like 60 plus hours on their first playthrough. I know I spent like 100 and something, 115 hours I think was my first playthrough. And then I spent another 30 hours on a second playthrough wrapping up trophy hunting stuff to get the 100% and get the platinum. So yeah, I spent a really long time playing the game the first time. And there's a lot of stuff to do in it. There's still stuff in this game that I haven't seen to this day. Really rare weapon drops and stuff that people get. And I'm like, what the hell's that blade? I've never seen that before. And then you find out it's dropped by an obscure enemy that like drops it once every 100 kills or whatever. And yeah, the game just really is sprawling with so much to find in it. And I think even now, a few years later, people still haven't found everything. And when the DLC comes out, it's going to be even more like that, because there's going to be so much more new stuff added into it. But yeah, while I've been rambling, I just defeated another boss there. Again, I'm a little bit overpowered for this area now. I think I stayed here a bit too long. But yeah, this is the Three Sisters, these three towers, where Rani likes to hang out. So I think there's a dragon around here that I didn't fancy fighting, so I just ran past it. Yeah, I made it up to Rani's tower. We're going to swear allegiance to Rani, who probably is my favourite Fromsoft NPC. Her voice is just so soothing and relaxing, and she could really convince me to do anything. Even though everybody has all their theories that Rani's secretly evil or whatever, and the Night of the Black Knives sounded like a pretty evil event, and that we're all falling for her agenda just because she's this cute doll with a big hat. And yeah, maybe that is true, but we're Rani simps. We're gonna do it anyway. And we'll just do anything for Rani. And I promise myself each time I'm gonna do a new quest line, a new ending. But the Age of the Stars ending just feels like the canon ending, because there's so much to that ending and so much build up to it, and Rani's so involved in everything that happens in the game. It just kinda does feel like they were pushing you towards that ending. But yeah, we'll pick it up next time where I'm following Rani's quest line. We go downstairs to talk to Blade. We might even end up in Caelid doing some Caelid stuff and finish up with Radahn or something like that. So yeah, thanks for watching, people, and I'll see you again next time with some more Elden Ring.